Fine. Welcome everyone who's just joining us. You are joining the Southern Oregon Business Seminar Series number 5 of 6, brought to you by So Ready. And today our guests are from the SOU Small Business Development Center. We're going to give it a few more minutes as the rest of our participants join us. Thank you all who have come in and muted. Hope everyone's enjoying the sunshiny day out there.
I'm worried that they are visible. In my screen share, is it just the slides that are visible, or is it also the chat box that I have open? Is this visible as well?
Nope, it looks like it's just oh, me. I do see the chat box, but is that me? Nope, yep, I just see the slides.
Okay.
Yeah, and yours can be just the slides. It depends on what the viewers want to do.
Okay, because I started the screen share, but then I suddenly realized that if I can see my chat box, then you guys might be able to as well. Okay. In fact, I'll just close it and not have to worry about it.
All right, we're going to give it about 1 more minute as people are still joining and coming into the waiting room. And then we'll get going. All right. Thank you again for everyone joining us. You are in the Southern Oregon Business Seminar Series. This is number 5 out of 6 that we have. So just make sure you're in the right place. Today we have with us Brandon, who is an advisor with the Small Business Development Center at SOU. And he's going to be going over our topic today is what is your value as a business? What do you bring to the table? So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Brandon. He can tell a little bit about himself and then go right into our presentation. Little housekeeping, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat and we will have some time at the end for a Q&A. So Brandon, take it away.
Hi guys, my name is Brandon and I'm an advisor here at the SOU SBDC. We're helping people with business advice that's no cost to them. That allows them to start or manage their business and grow it. Our topic today is the building blocks of your business pitch. What is your value specifically, diving into help you understand what you want to say to which type of customer groups. So the learning objectives for today is to explain the tools and the process of value creation. We're going to go over briefly the business model canvas, but we're going to focus mostly on the value proposition canvas. And the 3 sections of that are the customer profile, the value map, and the fit. There are copies of the slides and handouts that will be available after the fact. And like we mentioned earlier, questions can go into the chat. When you are wanting to talk about your business or pitch it to a customer or even a potential investor, you're going to want to be able to describe the value as it applies to them, and that's the benefits that they can expect from your products and your services. So pretty simple definition to start us out with and to get us going to the next. You can create value for your customers as well as for your business. And so getting the value and how you present it correct on both of them allows you to have more confidence that you're going to connect with your customer when you're talking to them and pitching your business or a service or a product. obviously we need to be in business. If we give somebody, I wouldn't say too much value, but value at our expense, then we're not going to be in business much longer. And so we can have successful value propositions that aren't successful on the business side. And that's why there's a balance there between creating value for your customers and creating value for your business. Because in the end, your customers want to be able to return, continually receive that value. They don't necessarily want to see you go out of business. And so they loop together in a giant circle. So to create value for your business, you need to create value for your customer. And to sustainably create value for your customer, you have to create value for your business. And so we're going to go over what is involved in that and how do we get there. And so one tool to start, whether you have a business idea or whether you're looking at a new project or a new venture under your existing business, the business model canvas is a useful tool to kind of zoom out and see how you plan on capturing value for your business. This is a tool that's licensed by Strategizer that you can receive additional information from them or from your business advisor at the SOU SBDC on how to work out the elements of your business model so that they create value for your business and keep you in business. So it's a bigger picture all on one page of the 9 elements of a business model that allow you to profitably create, deliver, and capture value around a particular customer value proposition. And you could have multiple customer value propositions that are related to different types of customers that you have. And we'll look at how to break that down as we go through today. The value proposition canvas is a tool that it fits into the business model canvas very well on identifying your value proposition, what your customers are going to be buying, and identifies the customer segments that are going to be doing the buying. And so it's a zoom in on making sure there's a good fit between the benefits that you're providing that your customers are purchasing, as well as the customer segments that you're trying to target. Some customer segments are going to be more profitable than others. And so it's a good way to look at, are we serving who we are intending to serve? And are we serving them the best that we can? So the value proposition canvas is that detailed picture to investigate if you really do create value for your customer. Yes, you're staying in business, but are you creating enough value for your customer for them to be drawn into the business as an initial customer and then maintained? It's a lot easier to maintain a customer sometimes and get profit from them versus trying to bring in new customers all the time, because there's costs associated with that, marketing and advertising. The value proposition canvas has 2 sides. The customer profile is how you clarify how you understand your customers, and the value map is how you intend to create value for that customer. And these are going to be broken down further as we go through today. And then how those 2 relate to each other, the customer segments and the value proposition, they call it fit when they work well with each other. So the customer profile is a very specific customer segment in your business model. It's a way to structure them and look at them. You're going to have some customers that are geographically different. You're going to have some customers that are looking for something that's more utilitarian versus something that has premium features. And so customers are going to kind of sort themselves into different buckets or different categories for you. And then we want to match those categories and those buckets to the value that they're looking for when they're buying your products and services. And so what matters to your customer are what their customer is gaining, what the job they're trying to do with your product or service, and the pain that they're currently experiencing that they want to relieve by purchasing your products or services. And so it's not just that they're buying a good from you, it's what is that good doing, what is that service doing for them? And so similar to a plumbing service, that the customer, the job that they want done is they want to have a bathroom that functions and their toilet works. And if things are leaking, then they're experiencing pain on the leak and the damage to their home and not being able to use the bathroom. And they're gaining, the reestablishment of the status quo. And so there's different ways to associate this with your particular business and your products and your services that you're offering. And so in identifying your customer segments, these are the people that you're going to be giving your business pitch to or your sales pitch for a particular product and service. So you're going to want to pick one customer segment at a time and identify the jobs that they're trying to do, the pains and their gains, and then prioritize them. And then we'll kind of flip on the other side and do the same thing with your products and your services of what different features are available and what different products are available. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, I'm sorry. but then they'll match them to a particular customer segment. So you'll have some customer segments that both have a similar value proposition that they're interested in, and there's others that'll be completely different. When we had mentioned the utilitarian versus the premium customer, those kind of things are different. And so there are some common mistakes that are made when people are looking at their customer segments. And I listed the biggest three. In individual counseling, I've gone over with clients, with business owners, some of the common mistakes that might be popping up for them, or emphasizing things that are constructive. I just wanted to put the big three on here because that's always a question that I get asked is, what are the biggest mistakes? What should I be looking for to avoid when I'm looking at my customer segments? And the biggest one would be mixing customer segments into one profile, of assuming that your customers all want the same thing or all want to be spoken to on the same channel. Another would be kind of moving too fast, of not going in detail on what the customers are experiencing as far as pains and gains and what job they're trying to do. An example of this would be a Burger King study that identified, people coming in to buy milkshakes. They're interested why people were buying them in the morning when it wasn't hot. They assumed that milkshakes were something people wanted in the afternoon to cool down. And through their research, they identified that customers were wanting something in their hand to drink on the way to work during their morning commute. And so whether it was coffee or whether it was a milkshake, it was something they could do while driving that wouldn't be messy and spill. And so they were able to tailor their sales pitch for milkshakes to those types of customers that were coming in to get something for the drive to work. Being too vague in the descriptions of pains and gains is also something common that I see. Trying to be more specific is always better. It's kind of like when we set goals, we want to have a specific goal that's achievable versus just a generic statement. And the pains and gains kind of work the same way. So the value proposition, the map side is the side that we're going to match the customers. So now we've moved to the left side of this value proposition canvas. And the value map describes the features that you're going to want to match to your customer segments. And so you've got gain creators in your products and services, pain relievers, and then the actual products and services that you're listing. And so we want to list your products and services in that appropriate section there on the left and not mix them into the other spaces. So what the customer's gaining is not necessarily your nice fancy pencil that they're buying. They're gaining the ability to take notes and to write things down. And there's other things besides just the raw product or the raw service that for them is either relieving a pain or is creating a gain for them. And that's how we get value created. And so you would list your products and services, you would outline your pains, pain relievers and gain creators, and then you would rank them by order of importance, similar to what we did in the customer segment side. And so common mistakes on the value map side of listing all of your products and services rather than just those that are targeted at a specific segment. So if we're doing this exercise with the client and we're focusing on one customer segment, there may be products and services that won't apply to them. And so an example of this might be when you go to McDonald's and there's your normal value item, your 1, 2, 3, 4 meals that you can buy, but there's also salads and healthier foods and healthier kids foods that you can buy. And those are targeted at different customers. Their Big Mac's not targeted at every person that walks into Walmart. There are different things that people are coming in for. And so being able to identify the value in this value map, we want to list all of the products and services that are only targeted at that specific segment that you're trying to work with versus your whole menu of items. And I mentioned earlier, the products and services are in their own spot. We don't want to add the raw product or the raw service into the other fields because it kind of throws it all off. There's a point where in creating value for the customer and in creating value for our business, we're not going to be able to address all of the customer gains and pains. It's not realistic to be able to do everything for everybody. We're going to want to focus and address that customer segment's pains and gains so that we have a specific market that we're creating value for. You tend to get washed out when you're not focused on something, whether it be the customer segment that you want to serve, or it might be the most profitable customer segment. But everything to everybody doesn't work very well. Now we're looking at the fit between the value map and the customer segments of when we've got what our pain relievers are and our gains, we've prioritized them, and now we're trying to check off the ones that line up and match for that customer segment and the value that we've created. And so fit is a little bit less tangible. We can create our list and prioritize things for the customer segments and for the value map, but getting them to fit well and work involves a little bit of trial and error. And so you want to make sure that you're addressing the most extreme pains of the customers, because that's what they're going to be willing to pay the most for, that value. And that the gains that you're listing are ones that the customers actually care about. And so there's an element of fit that involves discussions with customers, surveys, asking questions, of making sure that your product and service is addressing what keeps them up at night, that customer that just needs that specific value. And that's where you're going to find your fit and the most value, the most bang for your buck in this exercise. So you'll be reviewing the value map and the customer profile side by side to make sure that they line up, and that you can kind of check them off to make sure that they fit. Apparently I'm getting ahead of my own slides. There are 3 kinds of fit. There are the problem solution. So that's what we're going to get with a paper exercise of here's where we think the customer's problem is, and here's our solution, and do they match? When you begin to talk to customers and you begin to make sales, you'll learn more about product market fit of, okay, there are times when a specific problem and solution fit don't work once you go to market with it. People don't buy the product and you're not quite sure why. And so then it's time to backtrack and make sure that your product market is a fit. Are we introducing this to the right type of customers in the right market? Or is it specifically our city that we're trying to address, or is it something that's nationwide or sold online? Are we in the right spot with our problem solution fit in the product market? And then it comes to the business model fit, where we initially began by talking a little bit about the business model canvas and making sure that we're able to stay in business and be profitable and still create value on an ongoing basis. And is the product market fit that we've achieved going to fit in that business model so that everything is successful and bounced off of each other? And this gets us to the point where we can talk to specific customer segments about a specific value that works and provides value for the business as well, so we can stay in business. That's your business model fit, where everything's kind of now chugging along without grinding gears type of deal. The one exception to the business model fit is things don't stay the same over time. And so there may be instances where the market shifts or trends change and your business model fit no longer fits as well as you initially did. And so then it's time to move back to the product market fit and see where things go and where things changed. So it's not a permanent solution. So we've talked about creating value for the business, making sure we can stay in business, and creating value for your customer. And the business model canvas is a tool that you can use kind of on your own. There are versions of the business model canvas that have the sections have prompts and explanations. There are many YouTube videos on it, or you can go right to Strategizer. They have a book and different things that you can do, or you can talk to your SBDC advisor on making sure your business model is working for what you want to do. And the value proposition canvas is more of an exercise that you're going to want to do with someone that has done that type of value creation exercise before, so you can be more guided through it. The value proposition canvas is a little bit harder to access on your own, and I would recommend that you work with a business advisor on that specifically to make sure that you're kind of making your way through and it's working out for you. You're not kind of wasting your time on it. I want you to be able to get value out of it for what you're doing, so that when you have a good problem solution fit that you think is going to work, and you balance it against your business model canvas to make sure that you're still creating value for your own company and you can stay in business, then it's time to begin testing that and talking to customers and seeing if it will sell in the market, that kind of thing. And that's where a business advisor comes in super handy. Part of the workshop is how do we pitch a business or a business idea or products or services to other people, to other audiences. And knowing the value that you're creating for a specific customer segment goes a long ways of that. You've already done all the building blocks and laid the foundation to be able to talk to a specific customer group about the value that matches to them instead of kind of shooting blind or having 20 different brochures on your front table in the business for someone to self-select something that works for them. You want to be able to target your marketing. You want to be able to target your advertising so that you're not losing dollars on it, so that you have that good fit within what you're wanting to do in the channel that you're trying to say things over to the customers and your messages in the media that you're sending out. It all kind of builds from the value proposition canvas exercise into the business model, and it flows through. There are clients that don't have a good fit or problem solution fit between the value that they think their customers want to buy and who they think their customer is. And when they pay for marketing or they pay for advertising, there's not enough return on that investment. And so they're kind of missing out. If they can backtrack and identify, the value that the customer needs, then they can identify how to include that in their marketing so that it's more effective and increases that effectiveness of it. And you get more bang for your buck for your marketing dollars at that point. So kind of in review, the value proposition canvas has those two sides. We're going to go over who the specific customer is and kind of profile them and the job that they need to have done and the pain that they're experiencing and what they see with that. And the value map is of how our products and services are going to relieve some of that pain the customer's feeling and what the customer gains from what we're offering. And then we want to look at the fit and make sure that we're getting the right messages to the right people. So this is a little bit of a highlight of an overview of the business model canvas, very brief, and then the value proposition canvas, which was more in depth. If there are any questions or if we want to go over examples, I usually talk pretty quick, so I'm kind of concerned I went really fast.
You did. You finished up really quickly for us, Brandon, but that's not always a bad thing. So we are to the point of the webinar where we can open up for questions, or like Brandon said, he can do some specific examples. So if anybody has any questions out there, if you want to put it into the chat or unmute yourself and ask, go right ahead. I see Marshall, you popped on. Do you have a question for us?
Well, I see that Kim has posted some questions in chat, but I'm wondering, Brandon, if you'd be able to go through the business model canvas and kind of walk off to be able to illustrate the use and why it's a different way of looking at this, and also the value proposition canvas to illustrate how that can really help a client hone in on how they deliver value.
Sure. So the business model canvas and the value proposition canvas are both open source materials that are available when you go into your web browser and look for it. It's right there for you. I've included copies of them in the handout materials. After the slides, there are each canvas in there, so you can get a copy of it that way as well. Usually when I go through a business model canvas exercise with someone that's looking to start a new business or a business idea, it takes, 45 minutes to an hour-ish is generally what we spend with them. The value proposition canvas is taking two elements of the business model out and looking at them in much more specifics. And I usually do that exercise with someone. It takes half an hour to 45 minutes-ish. It depends on how confused everybody is initially on who their customers are, and if we need outside information to assist in identifying some of their pains and gains or some market research to be done. I think I answered one of the questions of how long should this take to talk through. There are clients that come in for advising that know exactly who their customers are and are shaky a little bit on the value of how to match them up to get fit. And those are usually a bit easier to go through. But it just depends. Every customer is a little bit different. It depends on where they're at when they come in to meet with the business advisor and getting them to the next milestone. I see a question from Kim on what should we assume about the customer's knowledge of our product. In general, we're going to make the assumption that the customer doesn't know anything about our product. There are commodities that are pretty standard, like a pencil or a plumbing service, something that's pretty much understood. But there are things that customers are just not aware of. A lot of times I hear that new clients were unaware of the SBDC and the no-cost advising that they can get access to. And I know I talk about it to everybody when I see them. And so different types of customers are going to have different levels of knowledge about your product and your service, of how your business is different from your competitors and how you stand out and what you focus on. And so starting with a problem solution fit on which customers are going to be your most profitable and how you're going to leave some of their most strenuous pains will get you farther. So in being able to reach that client and word of mouth advertising after the fact, and how effective your marketing is.
That's perfect.
See a question from Kim on how do we test our fit? Testing fit is a lot of trial and error and a lot of communicating with potential customers. There is a lot to be said for being in your own room, in your own space at a table, working with other business owners or an advisor, trying to get a on paper problem solution fit, trying to make sure it makes sense to our minds. But the customer is going to be the one that's paying their hard-earned money out for our product or our service. And so really that's why there's 3 different fits that we went over, so that once we move out of the roundtable discussions, we're actually talking to clients. We're actually asking potential questions. We're doing surveys. We're testing our product in the market to see if it sells. If it doesn't sell, then there's probably not a good fit there. So we need to adjust something. Or if it sells, but there's some confusion in the market, clients aren't quite sure, like the plumbing, where we just need a plumber, just let's fix this, versus, hey, we're planning this expansion of our home and we'd like a plumber to install some of what's going on. Increasing the awareness of your product, your company, and your services, and how you're different and how you best relieve that pain that the customer is feeling, is part of that testing and trial error for fit.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions before we get ready to wrap this up?
I see a question for the good of the order from Marshall.
Perfect.
Once I've completed a value proposition canvas and a business model canvas, how do I use the tools? So my answer to that would be, I would start with the business model canvas to identify your business model and see how that's going to fit. And if there's confusion between your value proposition and how it matches up to your customer segments, or your advisor continually asks you questions in those 2 sections, then I would dive deeper using the value proposition canvas. And so I wouldn't start with the value proposition canvas, just because it's more of an intangible exercise and it needs a little bit more guidance through it. I've had very knowledgeable clients do the business model canvas exercise on their own and be successful. The value proposition canvas is just, if there's tension in their fit or their fit's not working, then we can zoom into more detail. And that's what we would use the value proposition canvas for. There are a lot of times when I ask questions from it without showing them the canvas and running them through the whole exercise, because business owners, just like our customers, come in all shapes and sizes. And for some people, it's easier to do a back and forth questions with an advisor than it is to look at a raw form and try to answer questions and checkbox things. So it just depends on the customer that I'm working with and how I can best help them get to that next milestone. The value and how you use them is the building blocks of the value map and the customer segments and how they connect to create fit, so that you're creating business value for your business and value for your customers. And that's where you're going to see the highest levels of profit and the most happiness in your customers. And that's what we like to see as business owners, is people that are happy with buying us and we're in business profitable. So that's how you would lever both those tools to get to where you want to be. A follow-up question for the good of the order from Marshall was, can I take these to the bank to obtain a loan? If not, what do I do? And so the easy answer is no, the bank's not going to want to go through a business model canvas with you. Banks are a little bit more traditional and will want a written business plan. When you've worked through a business model canvas exercise, it's very easy to transition that into a written business plan. So having the business model canvas where you've put in your bullet points for all 9 of the elements of a business model, attaching financials with that, it turns it into kind of a business plan. And so it's much easier to have everything thought out when it's all on one page and you can look at all 9 elements and how they balance with each other, how they relate to each other, before you try to write paragraph after paragraph in a business plan. So there are times when I start with the business model canvas, knowing that they're intending to get a loan to start their business, and then that transition and it fills in 75% of their business plan for them. Makes it much easier once they've thought all of it, so that there's not as much trial and error in the business plan writing phase of things. So if not, what do I do is you would work with a business advisor on hammering out your business model and making sure that that fit is there, the value for your business and the value for your customer, and then that transitions into a written business plan that you can seek lending using. So.
Thank you, Brandon, very much. Any other questions that we have? All right, just as a reminder, this recording will be available upon request, and you can request that at info@sellready.org. The series will be posted in its entirety, series 1 through 6, on our website once it's completely done. And the next series is going to be covering online marketing, and that will be on June 30th. So if you haven't already signed up for that one, you can head to our website and get registered for that one, again at no cost. I want to thank again our partners over at the SOU Small Business Development Center. Brandon and Marshall, thank you so much for joining us and giving of your time this afternoon.